Okay, well, welcome to class today. No one has shown up yet, but that's okay. We are going to talk about how to talk like a native or more like a native today. So what I want to do is I have a presentation for you. Seems pretty simple to understand. The problem is actually practicing. So we'll see if someone pops in at the last moment, but for now you've got me, and I'm probably the best person to have here to help you with this today. So let me go ahead and get my presentation up here for you. That's the first step. Grouping words is what we're going to call this. So basically what we're going to do is have two words and we're going to put them together kind of somehow in specific ways. All right, so here you go. Wonderful. Looks like you can see this. So grouping words. So we're working on obviously pronunciation today. So, it's very important to sound good when you speak. It's not like we're mispronouncing words or the intonation's terrible or bad or something like that. So what this is going to do is kind of, it's really going to connect you to becoming more like a native speaker, because this is what we do. I actually watched a very interesting video today.
Hello.
I added it on the Facebook. Oh, Ken's here.
Sorry,
hey,
go
Ken.
ahead.
No, perfect timing.
Your mic. I think your voice is breaking today.
Oh, fantastic. So, well, that means I'm going to log out, and hopefully this still continues to load, so to record. Let me leave, and I'll come back in and see how this goes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, keep talking.
Does that sound any better than before?
Perfect.
Okay, good. All right, so while I'm putting my presentation back up, I put something on Facebook today. I found it really, really interesting. It's a video about some secrets of the English language. And so one of those secrets was actually about linking words together, basically what we're doing today, in order to sound more like a native. So whatever I was saying before, no one probably understood. But basically grouping words together just so we can sound a little bit more like a native and we don't sound like a robot or something like that. Okay, so it's to have that more fluidity, more natural sounding. And obviously, this takes a lot of time and practice. This is not something you can just learn in one day. So when you get a chance, the video, like I said, is on Facebook. I posted it today. It's about 15 minutes long. It's definitely worth a look. So if it's late in Japan right now, then maybe you can take a look at it tomorrow. So fantastic. So, all right. So what I want to do today is just go through a couple different ways in which we can group words. All right. So I'm just going to go down. And since you're here, why don't you go ahead and you can read this for me, okay?
Okay. Normally, we group words together when the sound of the letters is the same. For example, he can't talk, he's busy now.
Okay, and you didn't do it. You said this separately. Where I have the blue T's, okay, so these two T's is what we normally would say. Do you want to try again?
He can't talk, he's busy now.
Good. That sounds much, I don't want to say much better, but it sounds more natural. He can't talk. He can't talk. He's busy now.
Right.
Okay, so we're basically not saying this, but we're linking this T with can't to this T with talk. And there's a couple different ways in which we do this. And so this is the most basic in my mind. We're also linking these words in a different way without knowing it. He can't talk. Okay, he can't talk. We're saying can't talk very quickly together. He's
Mhm.
busy now.
Okay.
And so that's a full sentence, right? But we also can link this again. He can't talk. He's busy now. So we say he very quickly because we kind of understand. You've probably asked, oh, where is John? Okay. Oh, he can't talk. He's busy now. Okay. So as we're saying this, we don't only link these words together, but we kind of use our intonation to go up and down. Do you see how that works?
Oh yeah, maybe connecting, not connecting, meaning difference for native speakers.
Right. We're just
Uh-huh.
saying it a
Oh,
little quicker. Okay.
that's the kind of.
What do
Mhm.
do you want to try this? Try saying this sentence.
Yeah, let me. Could you say the example again?
Yep.
Sorry.
Yes. He can't talk. He's busy now.
He can't talk. He's busy now.
Mm-hmm. Good. And so you can
Mhm.
kind of see how the flow of the sentence, right? I've heard some
Right.
people say that um, we sing when we talk, and I'm like, I don't think so. I think that's the Italians that sing when they talk. It's too bad Marco isn't here today to defend that. But you know,
Same
it's
as
that kind of thing.
yeah. Same as that's why sometimes Spanish and Japanese a bit similar. Sounds a bit similar because we don't connect sounds so much like in English.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you that video I watched today has really got me thinking, and I need to send it to some other people and other teachers
Okay.
because it's so true and just other native speakers in general. I posted it on my Facebook as well. So, um, watch it when you get a chance. It'll definitely make you think. And because you're on the opposite spectrum as me, you're the ESL student. You're the English as a second language student.
Mhm.
I'm the native. So it's
Mhm.
kind of, I don't want to say comparing, but it's really taking a deeper look at native speakers versus second, third, fourth, you know, language learners of English. So
Yeah.
it's quite interesting. And so this is part of it. Like I said, it's linking. And sure, yeah, it's completely different. If you don't do it in your own native language, you're not going to
Mhm.
do it in English. And this is something that
Yeah.
I have to be very careful about while teaching.
Right. For the first time at the beginning, I noticed this connection in the
Hmm.
song because I singing when I tried singing the I think the first song is Carpenter's Yesterday's Once More. So when I made the elementary school day, and I pronounced when I was young, I listened to the radio. It doesn't fit to the melodies, and then I listened carefully in the cassette tape and Karen pronounced when I was young, I listened to the radio when I not when
Hmm.
I.
Yeah, and we will see that later too. We'll see a little thing that I actually was quite inspired. The video really shocked me. It was like one of those things that you don't think about, and then you're like, "Mm, what?" To, it's like, okay, that opens my mind a little bit more. So I really hope a lot of people watch this video because it's so
Okay.
true. And I think it will help. I mean, those native speakers of English, for example, especially one in the United States who's not very open minded, if he were to watch this video, or any person, they would understand why it's so difficult to learn English. It's not just
Mm,
a language you can learn in 3 months. Absolutely not. This takes years and years and years. Not just of the grammar, but the pronunciation, because there's a lot of words like busy,
mhm.
busy. Busy doesn't think, yeah, what? I mean, if I were to write busy, it's in the chat box. Busy.
Easy,
It,
easy. Mhm.
it doesn't look like
Mhm.
it would. Boozy is what it looks like, but it's not. It's busy. Why? Because whoever decided to write the word busy like that wanted to pronounce it differently. I don't know. So there's a
Mm.
lot of mysteries about English that I can't answer either, and pronunciation is a big part of that.
I heard the BBC language history documentary, English language history documentary says because when the printing was invented, the
Printing
printer,
press? Hmm.
press machine, yes. So print kind of people who are working on press machine just type their own spelling. Before that, there's no fixed spelling in English, and sometimes the England has a lot of accents, or
Yeah.
so they type their own way. That's why a lot of illegal spelling still are in English. That's
Hmm.
an explanation.
Well,
Anyway.
and it makes sense. It does make sense. It really, really does. And also, for example, I know a couple years ago I went to Belgium and I was researching my family, my ancestors from there, from the 1800s.
Mhm.
And so when
Right.
I contacted the town hall, they sent me some information and, they said, the last names, and they said there's a couple different ways in which you can spell it. Well,
Mhm.
we had known of two different ways to spell the name from the history that we have of the family, and
Mhm.
they had two different ways of spelling it. And they even mentioned, they said, back in the 1800s, almost 1900s, they weren't writing. They didn't have anything to write with. And so they just pronounced it. And these are some of the ways in which they wrote the last name. And so that's crazy. So I mean, it's the same. Think you get
Oh
four different
yeah.
spellings for your last name and different pronunciation too. The English version versus probably the real
No, no
version.
worry. Japanese
Right.
name is much complicated because Chinese characters influence man. Still, I cannot read a lot of place name or person's name actually. Even
Really, that's quite
Japanese
interesting.
name. Anyway.
Cool. Well, we'll have to do an English history class. I'm going to write that one down, actually. The history of English. Because I don't know. I mean, I know it's a Germanic language, but it obviously has French influence with a lot of different words. I use zucchini, which is from Italian, instead of crochet or something, which is French, and that's what they use in England. So there's a lot of influence from different languages, and I'm sure Spanish is in here too. So it's just a mix of everything. So yeah, the history would be great to know. Okay,
Yes.
well, continuing with our pronunciation today. He can't. Oh, and I almost see this is teacher mode. I have native mode and teacher mode.
Mhm.
He can't talk. He's busy now. That's teacher mode. He can't talk. He's busy now. Is my native mode. So let's continue on to look at some different ways. All right. So why don't you go ahead and read that? We'll save the examples.
It doesn't matter where you group the words together, but they have to make sense. Compare the two examples.
So this is the first one. She's working on a project for school that's due tomorrow. So I've
Mhm.
underlined, I tried to do this so it makes sense. I've underlined the words that we're going to group together. She's working on a project for school that's due tomorrow. And I've highlighted this blue part here because I feel that she's working on a project. I think we say kind of all of that together, but if we really dissect it, go in even further, she's working on a project for school that's due tomorrow.
Mhm.
Okay, now I want to look at this other example that I'm going to see if I can read this how I want to. I've underlined parts of this sentence that kind of doesn't make sense in my mind. So, for example, if I say she's working on a project for school that's due tomorrow, that's a little bit more robot. It doesn't seem so natural. And so that's what I want to do by comparing these two sentences. Why don't you read a sentence and then just kind of naturally see how it works for you? Okay. Don't try and do the
Mhm.
intonation or the grouping where
Mhm.
I've underlined it, but naturally try. Okay?
Okay. I would pronounce she's working on a project for school that's due tomorrow. That's due tomorrow.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But I think you due to tomorrow sounds like due tomorrow. That's
Do
pretty
tomorrow.
American. Tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, due is the deadline. I mean, and yeah, you're right. Due is a pretty normal word for us. Oh, that's due tomorrow, for example. That's due next week. That's due on Friday.
So sometimes T sound changes to like D sounds like sound to my ears in
Mm-hmm.
America.
Absolutely. And that
You
happens a
know,
lot. And obviously I think the most significant or most prevalent um, example of that are the numbers 20, 30, 40, 50, things like that.
right.
The word little instead of little.
My
Oops, I meant to write that somewhere and it was written nowhere. So little. And so there's times, I mean, you can tell when I'm in teacher mode or not because I'll kind of overpronounce things like I'm doing now. I'm trying to speak clearer so that you understand me. And I'm not
right.
speaking so fast that you can't understand me, and so I'm speaking okay. So that's a little bit of the difference is I really try and focus on my pronunciation and enunciate all of the sounds and the syllables that I have to say.
Mhm.
So it is quite difficult. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you obviously speak English, and if you think about having to change how you speak English, or even Japanese, maybe in Japanese you had to join these words and do the grouping, it's going to be difficult for you, even as a native, to
Maybe,
change
but
it.
I think Japanese has less sound than English, so simple, simple as English. So in terms of the
Okay.
pronunciation, it's more difficult. But maybe some other we have, especially writing is very complicated. Chinese characters, Japanese letters, such combination is very
Mhm.
difficult. Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, very good. Well, so let's move on. Like I said, this is another example. It's just, like I said here, make sure it makes sense. That's the most important thing.
Mhm.
It doesn't,
Right.
like I said, it doesn't matter. Every person is going to group words differently or not. I mean, it completely depends. Like from
Mhm.
this first example, he can't talk. Everyone should do this. Who's a
Mhm.
native speaker? He can't talk. Everyone should be joining these two sounds together. Yes. But as far as grouping the words, as I have in these two examples, sure, that might be different. I don't know how, but this is how it works for me, for example.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions as of now?
No, thank you.
Okay. Great. Well, let's go down here. This is the fun part. This was the inspiration from the film I watched today, or the video. So, good. Why don't you go ahead and read this definition for us in black?
We link words together in a way that we don't always start a word with a vowel sound. Can I have a can of soda?
Okay, so soda was definitely from Georgia. That was a Georgian pronunciation.
Really? Oh my
You
God.
said the R at the end there. Soda, soda, Ken, soda.
So- so-
Now I have a friend who's from Connecticut. He always said idea, and I'm like, where's the R? Like it's an idea. So some of that's still in you. Good. So, but what I learned from that video, and like I said, I'm so influenced. I'm so surprised by that video today that this came from that, and I was like, oh my Lanta. Have you heard of that? Oh my Lanta. Oh my
Oh,
gosh. Yeah, oh my
oh my,
Lanta.
oh, I don't know. Oh my, oh my Lanta. Atlanta? I don't know.
Hold on. Oh my Lanta. I don't know if Lanta it should be capital or not, but that's an expression we have that means oh my gosh, oh my God, for example. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I see.
Oh my gosh is the nicer version. Oh my
Mhm.
Lanta. Oh my Lanta. It's a very American. So anyway, um, so yes. surprise here today. So yes, as the woman explained in the video, I was like, what do you mean? Because elephant, you
Mhm.
know, uh, there are words that have vowels at the beginning of the word, and I was just like, well, what is she talking about?
Mhm.
As she explained in the video, can I have a can of soda? More or less. What I have in blue is one syllable, and then the black, I knew it was going to happen. The black is kind of the other one. So can I have
Nine.
the can can of a can
Mhm.
of soda? Something
Okay.
like that. I probably didn't do it perfectly, but the idea is that every time we say a new word, we're connecting it to the word prior, the word
Mhm.
before, in which has a sound to it. Now, the word have ends in a vowel, but we don't pronounce this E sound here.
Mhm.
So, can I have a. So, this was pretty shocking to tell you the truth. What do you think about this, Ken?
As I said, I have already known because of the sound karaoke practice.
It's fine.
But I'm not native speaker. I just copy the sound to my ear. So I this kind of explanation for native speaker is, yeah, is helpful a lot actually.
Mhm. See, and I
Kind of
always, yeah,
Mhm.
sorry.
What kind of accent do I have, or such kind of actual English accent? What actual English accent it is? Are they or something? Yes.
Hmm.
They, yeah.
Well, technically, I would say that everyone in English is going to do this because it's just natural. I mean, as you know, instead of saying, I cannot help you, for example, I can't, we're always going to use those contractions. Again, because it's easier. Yeah, I mean, why do more when you can do less, basically? That sounds terrible. It sounds very unmotivating. But what I mean is that why are you going to say so many different syllables and words when you really don't have to? When you can get your point across, or you can tell someone something they can understand with fewer words. As we see here, it says that we don't. I'm not writing do not. Don't is a lot easier to pronounce. And so I'm not going to say we're lazy, but we're kind of like, well, why do it if it's more difficult?
Mm. No, yeah.
Even though it
So,
kind of makes more sense for non-native speakers because you are going to learn can I have a can of soda?
yeah, it sounds like Robert, right?
Exactly. And that's what I was talking about before. This is can I have a can of soda? So I say that time three times fast. And so what we're doing here is I just wanted to mention here is this is the linking or the grouping. Can I have a can of soda?
Mm. Can I?
And honestly, I would probably let's try and write this. Can I have can of soda? I mean, I
Mhm.
would even do that. Can I have a av? I'm not even really pronouncing the H, but more of the A. Can I have a can of soda?
Right.
So, we actually even abbreviate or say less than what we're actually looking at here. Um, and yeah, there's okay, yep, I'm not gonna say anything more. I'm just gonna delete that because that is that's good. We're gonna move on to my other example here. And now you're going to see some red. What do you think? Well, let me read the sentence. An elephant is walking through the Amazon.
Mhm. That's
What
right.
do you think the red letters represent? Just an
Silent,
opinion. There
silent.
you go. Exactly. So I didn't know where to put them. And so I thought, well, then you're going to be red because when I'm saying this again, an elephant is walk when I'm walking through the am them. Mazan. It's hard for me to do this so slowly.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that we're joining. And now,
Right.
and I said here at the very beginning that you read, we don't always, because what's happening, and I did this on purpose, what's happening with the sound, an, that's a vowel.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to prove that woman wrong in the video by saying, yes, we do. Yes, we do pronounce vowels at the beginning of words, at the beginning of sentences, of course. So, this is kind of my. Why don't you read this sentence for us with your natural linking?
Okay. An elephant is walking through the Amazon.
Good. And I like your intonation too. It's very, it just. So that's perfect. If we look down at the next one, again, I have the same sentence, but an elephant is walking through the Amazon. Okay. And I kind of think we highlight maybe some of the words because we look at elephant, walking, and Amazon. Oops, Amazon. These are the three most important words. An isn't important, is we don't really need in order to understand the sentence. And Amazon, sure, it's a place. So this preposition we don't really need, this article we don't need, the article we don't need, this auxiliary verb we don't need. So I think
Yeah.
what we're kind of doing is maybe overemphasizing those specific words that we need in order to highlight them and make them more prevalent, more known, more heard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I learned, before that I was thinking, the every word should be stressed equally or something. But especially in Japanese, but in English, yeah, you as you said, content word, I forgot. Content word should be stressed much more than other un unnecessary words to get the meaning.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so I think that's part of it too about us linking. And I really don't know. I'm just guessing here, but that it kind of is the same idea for
Right.
trying to think of
Because
a title of a book.
elephant walking through Amazon. Uh, Listener can get the meaning, even though.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
elephant. Oh, I was like, why is that wrong? Elephant walking through Amazon. Oops, Amazon. This would be a newspaper article title.
Headline, yes.
Newspaper. I can't spell today. Every time I have to write in this class, I cannot spell. It's so that's the thing is that an elephant walking through Amazon, you get the main idea, but really what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, how many elephants? An elephant, one. Then we're going to be using the complete verb, the present continuous. And of course, okay, sure, we have a preposition here. And the Amazon, we use the article the because there's only one Amazon and it's important.
Right.
So, there are reasons we're using these other words, but we don't really need to.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's good. I was trying to think about like a title of a book. Uh, For example, the Lord of the Ring, oops, of
Mhm.
the Rings, something like this.
Mhm.
Now, when we're writing this, what I remember from school is that these kind of little words aren't really super important, and so we don't capitalize the letters. We do with the because it's the beginning of the title, just like in the beginning of any sentence, we need to have a capital letter. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, to me, even it looks strange if I do this, a Lord of the Rings. It doesn't look strange, I guess, but we don't need to capitalize these. We really don't.
Also, sometimes titles, could be italic, could be written in italic.
In italic,
Yeah, that's the rule of how to write title in English.
like this?
Yeah, in a kind of paper, academic paper.
Okay,
Yes.
sure. Yeah, see, that's a different way. I was thinking just if you have the actual book, the title on the book is this is what it looks like. But yeah, if you're writing and you're writing the this, you can do it in italics. I would even say in quotation marks. You could do. Oops, I didn't want to underline that.
Mark
So yeah,
marks.
exactly, different ways. Good. Okay, so now I think I'm just gonna go down one. Okay, and I have, so now we have kind of different examples with different letters. Okay, and I have a story with this one. So, different linking sounds with S, for example. We have S and a consonant, and we also have, oh, what did I do? There we go. Then I have S and a vowel. Okay, so we have two different sounds. This man, we link these two sounds together
Mhm.
when we're saying this. That's it. So it doesn't have to be the same sound like we saw at the very beginning. He can't talk. Can't talk. Okay? It can be different sounds, which we'll see more examples. Okay? And
Yeah.
then this afternoon, I'm saying these so quickly together that there's really less of a gap here than there's a this afternoon. And even my dad says this aft. I'm serious.
That's
I'm
why I often goes on the street of Georgia.
Did you hear that?
I don't know this example, but I lost what are they talking about?
Yeah. My dad's like, yeah, this aft I gotta do some stuff around the house. So I wanted to add that because I don't know if it's just him or what, but I don't think I've really heard too many other people say it, if anyone that I can think of at this moment. So again, we're highlighting the S and the A of the two words, but then he just cuts off everything else because we just understand. And yes, look at this, the red line here, that means it's incorrect. So obviously very colloquial English. Okay, so the saft. Moving on, overlapping sounds. And I wanted to bring in kind of our class from the other day because we have overlapping sounds. What we learned last time was when we're saying the th sound in the word three, what we're actually doing is also preparing our mouth for the R sound as well. Now, it's not exactly what we're going to see in the next example and the one below, but it's very similar. So I wanted to mention that from the last class. Have you been working on your pronunciation, Ken?
Mm, I? You mean?
Since
Yeah, yeah.
last class, have you been working on the word three?
I forgot.
You don't do any homework. So, so three, okay, it could be an example. Now, in this word, why don't you read these two words for us?
Bad news.
Okay, you do not overlap your sounds. Bad news, bad news, bad news.
Bad news. Bad news. Yeah.
Mhm.
Badlands. Yeah. Sorry, it's that song. Yeah. But I practice singing a lot.
Exactly. It's there's things like this that I didn't even realize that we do, bad news. Oh, I got some bad news today.
Right.
Um, you don't really finish saying bad. It's not a very strong D, it's a very weak D. And then the news, oh, bad news, bad news. Yeah, the intonation kind of goes down with the D and then back up. Bad news. So,
Mhm.
and then I have another one here. Why don't you go ahead and, read this one for us?
Good luck.
Mm-hmm. Same idea. Good luck. As soon as you're finished with that little D sound, we're going to move on to the next one.
Good luck.
Yeah. Oh, that sounded really good. Did that sound strange?
No,
Did it feel strange?
I know because it's became Japanese. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Yes.
Huh?
So, yeah, it became Japanese. Good. Maybe the American sound. Yeah, we erase D for this
Mhm.
case. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and so we have consonants, not just vowels with different vowel sounds and vowel sounds that don't even make sense, like the word busy, but we also have different consonant sounds that are weak. or very strong. So for example, let me explain this. So again, we have good day, good day. And so basically, again, I'm not saying this D here, but
Mhm.
I'm going to say it here.
Right.
And as I said, this is from the very first example. You only pronounce one D sound. Basically, this is what they do here in Spain in order to, this is kind of like the Spanish phonetic way of saying things. And I thought,
Mhm.
well, maybe people are going to be able to understand this because in Spanish, you only have one sound per letter.
Mhm.
So when they write something like this, they all know how to say it. It's like their phonetic language. So I
Mhm.
thought if I try this, maybe that will help some people.
Mhm.
Um, so basically, you're saying good day. This is the pronunciation of
Mhm.
this. Okay.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Good
Okay.
day.
All right. Now, here's a different one. Why don't you read this word for us?
Okay. Admit it.
I did hear some American English in there.
Yeah, I'm yeah, I
The-
tried.
Here. No, that was good. That was good. So basically, you're going to join the last consonant with ed, with the
Mhm.
ed ending. So admitted, admitted, admitted.
Mhm. It. Admit it.
Mm-hmm. That's the actual sound that you're going to hear with natives.
Mhm.
What you said at the beginning, admitted, is fine.
Mhm.
Admitted, I don't remember. I can't say it. It's really difficult for me. So, there's different ways that even within the word, it's not just joining two different words together, but it's
Mhm.
also how we say this ed ending. And it's for all of those that end with T or D,
Mhm.
because in other ones, for example, called, this is a different sound. We only say the D sound of this ed ending because it ends with an L, blah, blah, blah. There are rules. But the important part is that when we have a T or D ending, for example, why don't you pronounce this word for us?
Add it.
Good. Added,
Add
added,
the add it.
added, added.
Mhm. Add it.
hmm Any questions with this?
Yeah, yeah, I no, thank you.
Okay. I mean, we have wanted, needed, which are also very common. Wanted, needed.
Yeah.
hmm So good. Perfect. Well, we have that. That's fantastic. And moving down. Okay, this one I'm a little bit nervous about explaining because it's just a little difficult,
Mhm.
maybe to understand. So sometimes we eliminate the sounds. Figure that one out. Sometimes, anyway. So why don't you pronounce this word for us?
Looked.
There you go. Good. Looked. Now you kind of overpronounced the K a little bit, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Looked, 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 looked. So again, I have this kind of phonetic thing, and I have a C here because I don't want you to think it's such a strong K sound.
Mhm.
Um,
I
this looks like it could be loosed. That's not what I'm looking for. So, looked, looked, looked.
it.
What is happening? It says mouth and throat form the K sound, but never really say the whole sound.
Mm.
That is what we're talking about when we're eliminating the sound. We're eliminating the K sound, even though when I say looked, looked, looked,
Looked. Looked.
my throat changes its shape when
Mhm.
I'm going to pronounce the K part, but I
Mhm.
don't actually say it. I go right to the T sound.
Mhm.
And that's the most difficult part. And so again, when I'm working with someone on pronunciation, I'll say looked, looked, looked.
Looked.
I'll actually pronounce the K because I know
Mhm.
it's easier for them to understand.
Mhm.
Basically, this ED sounds like a
Mhm.
T sound because this word ends with a K. So again, those are some of the rules, and
Right.
it's quite difficult.
Yeah.
Why don't you try eliminating the K sound and see what happens?
Looked.
Good. Okay, I can't complain about that. So good. Let's go to this one, okay? Basically, stopped going. Now, and this is a right of a native speaker is we don't have to say all of these ed endings and s's all the time because we understand. And this is one of those moments. I'll also give you some other examples. This, for example, is stopped. Stopped going.
Stopped
Okay.
going.
Pretty simple. However, what we actually say, and there's really no no other way to write this, if in my opinion. Basically, I'm just going to say stop going. Oh, we stopped going to the concerts or stopped going to music class.
Mhm.
Again, this is the right of a native. For example, okay, how would you read this sentence for us?
Okay. He asked me a question.
Okay, good. Yes. He asked me a question again. Because this word ends in a T or a K sound, this ED will sound like a T. He asked me a question. Now, if I'm talking to another native in Wisconsin, like, he asked me a question.
Mhm.
I don't have to say this. But you, as a non native speaker, do have to say that. And
Mhm.
so, what we're going to do again is kind of eliminate this K sound here. He asked me a
Ask-
question.
He asked me a question.
Mm-hmm. So you can see and hear and feel that difference. And it's quite crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know that this part is it's a very difficult word, or even he asks me something every day, for example.
Ask me.
This S sound is one of the most difficult to pronounce in English.
Mhm.
Me as a native, I can say, he asks me a question every day. He asks me a question every day. I'm sorry, I don't have to say this S, and I'm not going to in a native situation. Because who says he asks me something every day?
Mhm.
So, why don't you read this sentence for us?
He asks me something every day.
See, and you can do it quickly, and that's okay.
Mhm.
So that sounds fine. For example, so the difficult word here, you can probably guess, is ghosts because we
Mhm.
have S and then a T sound and an S. Whereas here we had the K sound, but still they're very hard consonants to pronounce. And so there are ghosts at the hotel. What I'm doing is saying a very soft S and kind of forgetting about this part. There are
Mhm.
ghosts at the hotel. I'm ignoring that T altogether. Can you please read this sentence, Ken?
There are ghosts at the hotel.
Good. That sounded very natural. It sounded very good. Do you have any questions about this?
Ghosts. No, no. Thank you.
Okay. And this does happen. I mean, with this S sound and the ED sound, especially after K's and T's, it's quite difficult. So,
Mhm.
perfect. And this is what I was just saying. Why don't you go ahead and read this for us, okay?
There are too many hard sounds or consonants, and it's difficult to say, pronounce all the syllables, so we eliminate them altogether.
Okay. So again, that's basically what we were looking at up above. Oops. Um, and these are different examples, which I have some comments here too. And this is the end. Yep, this is the end. So, um, wait, sorry. Any questions here? I think we were pretty good with that. We just don't say those sounds. Okay. So now we go to the last part is changing sounds. When we have did you,
Mhm.
what we're actually saying again, this is the pronunciation did ya? Did
Mhm.
ya? Now this depends. This sound is either a ja or a ya sound. This
Mhm.
depends on the person, okay? So, did ya? Did
Sure.
ya? Now, sometimes I might say the D here, did ya, or did ya, did ya.
Did you? Did you?
Okay. And again, we're using this A at the end because you have to use more force, more effort with your mouth in order to make that sound. And yeah, it's very simple.
Mhm.
All right. Another way that we can change these sounds is the T and the Y.
Mhm.
Got you. Got you. Gotcha. 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 And this new word has been produced. Gotcha. As you can see, it's also incorrect thanks to that red line below it. But we say this, and I actually said this to my mom yesterday. Ah, gotcha. I understand.
Right.
Okay. So again, this sound here is either a ya, ja, cha, something like that sound.
Mhm.
Okay. And then this last one, don't you, don't ya,
Mm.
don't ya.
Right. Sure.
So we're eliminating that T at the end. And I'm sure didn't ya, didn't ya. If I do
Mm.
that, let's see, didn't, let's do didn't, yeah, didn't, yeah,
Mm. Danger.
didn't, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay. So do you have any other questions about this part?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
I gotcha. Good. Well, I got your back if you need it to do anything with English. So I'm just going to stop screen sharing for the moment because we're kind of coming to an end anyway. But I thought this was a really interesting class and it can really help you sound more like a native if you know how to link. Like I said, it needs to make sense. The same sounds, linking or meshing or putting together two different consonant sounds. And that's very
Mhm.
natural.
Nice. So,
So
think
good.
the way is to leave America, but even though those who are not living in America, we have internet now, access to
Exactly.
native speakers talking on internet. So,
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just that, you can use things online. You can look at pronunciation websites. There's so many. And like I said, I was looking for kind of inspiration to help me with more of the technicalities of today's class. And I came across that video, which is just fantastic. So that was great. But what I want to mention is that on Monday, we're going to be doing a little bit of writing stuff. We're going to be talking about commas, when to use commas, which
mhm.
I'm sure I'm going to be learning some stuff myself while I prepare the class because I love commas and I overuse them. So, everyone's different, and we've learned about the comma and the semicolon and one or the other, which one's correct. So next Monday, we'll be learning a little bit more about that. Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
And then next week, Wednesday, is Valentine's Day. So I'm going to write something. I'm going to write an article, a little story about Valentine's Day. So I need to get inspired.
Mm.
Um, and so that's basically it for now. Any other questions?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. Well, again, as always, thanks for joining. I hope you have a great day, and hopefully, we'll see you on Monday to learn about commas.
Okay, have a nice day.
All right, thanks, you too. Bye.